Hello, everybody. How you doing today? This is Sakoni Prince of SakoniPrince.com, where we make motivation personal by introducing you to yourself. And I want to welcome you to the H.E.A.L podcast. H.E.A.L is an acronym for Help, Elevate, and Learn, and it's based on my latest book by the same title, but the subtitle is It's a Guide to Healing Your Inner Child. And one of the reasons I wrote this book and started this podcast is because during my world travels and doing my coaching sessions, I realized something with a lot of people that I was helping. And that is that they were dealing with current day behavior that was seeded in their childhood. And so one of the reasons I put this book together and also am producing this podcast is because I want to raise the conversation, raise the awareness about childhood wounds, childhood trauma, but more importantly, childhood healing. And like I've said before, we're not here to end the conversation. We just want to start it. But listen, before we get into our episode for today, I want to thank our sponsor. That's none other than BetterHelp. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful, unbiased advice. First, you go to their site. You can use my link, betterhelp.com/SakoniPrinceHeal. You answer a few questions, and BetterHelp will match you to a professional who's had years of experience helping people with struggles just like yours. You can do it all from your phone or your computer, via a phone call, a video chat, or messaging. However you feel most comfortable, it is the easiest possible way to start talking to a therapist. You'll be matched to a therapist usually within 48 hours, so you can get started fast. Let BetterHelp connect you to a therapist who can support you, all from the comfort of your own home. Visit betterhelp.com/SakoniPrinceHeal or choose Sakoni Prince Heal during your sign up and enjoy a special discount on your first month. Again, we want to thank our sponsor, BetterHelp, for being a sponsor of this amazing episode. And I cannot tell you how excited I am to have our guest on here today. And I'm going to bring up to the stage right now none other than Miss Shonta Thomas. Shonta, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hi, how are you?
I'm well. Tell the people a little bit about yourself.
All right. My name is Shonta Thomas. I currently reside in Atlanta, Georgia, originally from Jacksonville, Florida. I am a 10-year Navy veteran. I am a licensed professional therapist, a life coach, published author, also a 2-time breast cancer survivor. I do a lot. I truly enjoy helping others, helping people work through their problems. So this is absolutely perfect being here with you today.
Well, I am so grateful that you took time out of your busy schedule to join us and be a part of what I believe is a life-changing mission, and that is to help people to understand what really goes into making them tick and how they work. And I want to say, and I've said this to many of my guests, and I'm going to say it to you as well. I applaud you because it takes a lot, one, to deal with our own issues, but to help somebody else deal with theirs. In my book, you're a hero. So with that being the case, I want to thank you for your service, not just to our country, but to your fellow man by taking on this monumental responsibility.
Thank you so much. I mean, it's necessary.
It is. It is. And that's another reason why, again, I am so committed to doing this, because I honestly believe that we need to have more conversations around this, because I think that that's the way that we're going to make it normal for us to talk about and say it's okay not to be okay, or say it's okay, I need to get help. I need to see somebody. It's okay. I need to talk to somebody. I need to get some help, because if we don't, we are in a prison without walls and one of our own construction. So I want to show people that there's a freedom available when you actually free yourself from your own limitations and restrictions.
Absolutely.
So let's hop into some of these questions real quick.
Okay, let's get into it.
Okay, in your professional opinion, how important is inner child healing?
That's a good one. Inner child healing, in my opinion, is very important. I think, when we look back, our childhood is where we set the foundation, where our parents set the foundation for us. So if things is out of whack, it's not stable, then guess what? 9 times out of 10, as a child, you don't necessarily go into it and say, oh, let me go ahead and heal this now. So it may carry on into your young adulthood. It may carry on into those teen years, and ultimately it's going to carry on into your older adult years, and it's going to cause a couple of problems. So if you're dealing with trauma, some abuse, abandonment, some neglect, daddy issues, mommy issues, unfortunately, some parents are the child's first bully.
Mm,
And
wow.
if that's something that you're starting with, you go into school and you're going to see that as this might just be normal because I deal with it at home. So you're not seeing it necessarily as a problem, but as you get older, you're seeing it like, know what, this ain't right. I don't like the way I feel when I'm experiencing this. So then you kind of go into that light comes on like, this ain't normal. What do I do next? So it's
Right.
important that, you go through that healing process so that you can tackle all of those triggers and all of those things that kind of weren't really stable for you or that caused you a lot of issues, at the younger age. Because if
Hmm.
you don't, it's going to just carry over to your older years.
And that is so, so true. I was sharing with somebody just the other day about I have a worksheet, in fact, which I actually did up,
Mhm.
and I have 4 columns on it. Column number
Okay.
one is the trigger column.
Hmm.
Column number two is the trauma column. Column number three is the reaction column. But column number
Mm.
four is the response column.
Okay.
Because what normally happens is something is triggered, something triggers a trauma, and we have a reaction.
Right.
And then we
Right.
realize, okay, I don't want to react that way. I want to have a response. And so
Right.
we have to go through a process of understanding what response do I want. And I tell people all the time, we don't have first reactors, we have first responders. We
Yep.
have
Correct. Correct.
people that
Absolutely. We're
are trained,
responding to your actions.
right. People, people that are trained to respond to a certain fact disaster, whether it be a car accident, whether it be a train derailment, in fact, whether it be a natural disaster, a terrorist attack, they have they go through drills and they actually have a plan on how they're going to respond to a certain situation.
Absolutely.
We need,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, I think we need to do that even in our own life. We need to have like what type of response do I want to have, and that takes work. Just like first responders go through training to actually be
Right.
able to actually have a response. It takes training
Mhm.
for us not just react to a situation, but to
Right.
have response.
Have some things in place. Like you said, a plan is always good. Sometimes, something might happen. And the last thing we typically do is say, you know what, let me step back, think about it before I respond. The first
Right.
thing that happens is your body is like, go, respond. But sometimes you gotta say, no, hold on, wait a minute, step back and say, okay, so if I respond this way, this gonna be, what I'm saying, this could happen. These
Right.
could be the consequences of my actions. But if I
Right.
respond this way, it could be
Right.
something totally different. A couple
Right.
of minutes can shift the whole trajectory of a whole situation. So just being able to kind of ground yourself in that moment and say, you know what, let me think about it right quick before I respond.
Yep.
It could save
Yep.
a lot of unnecessary stress, frustration, or extra trauma on yourself. So absolutely.
That is so, so true. And even having gone through therapy myself, I've had to do just that, take that moment
Hmm.
to process, because of course we have our initial reaction, but it's like, okay, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Let me process this. And so it may look like I am disengaged from the situation, but no, I'm trying to reprogram myself, because my general response or my general reaction is to do this. But it's like, okay, no, we're
Right.
not doing that. Let's try this. And so, but
Right.
it takes time for that new
Yeah.
response to become your reaction, for that new
Your
response to
normal.
become that muscle memory.
Yep. For that becomes the new norm. And
Exactly.
if we think about people that when stuff happens to them, they just kind of get quiet.
Mm,
Now,
yep.
for some people, that quiet is a problem for them because
Mm,
they don't know how to handle quiet. But for the
right.
person that has gotten quiet, they're taking a moment to say, you know what, how do I respond to this?
Right.
What is going to be my reaction? I don't want to go left. I need to go right.
Right.
But
Exactly.
somebody that's unhealed, they may not be used to that quiet space. They may find that very uncomfortable. So you got
Right.
to really kind of tap into that and say, you know what? They're not being quiet because they're about to act a certain way. They may actually be being quiet because they're taking a moment to actually think about how they're going to respond to this. So
Right. And that's so true. So true. Listen, well, our second question is, in your professional opinion, when
mhm.
should somebody start inner child work?
I think that inner child work should start whenever you acknowledge that there is something wrong.
Okay.
A lot of times we go through moments and something just doesn't feel right. And granted, we often feel like, and I've been there too. I've been in that space where I said I can handle it. I
Mm-hmm.
could do it
Mm-hmm.
myself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I got
Right.
this. And on the inside, it's turmoil. It's a whole war going on because I feel like I could do it all myself or that I need to do it myself. It's
Right.
okay to say, you know what, man, I need some help. It's okay. I can't do this by myself. This is a bit much for me. But a lot of times that pride and ego, it steps in and it's like, nah, you got this. You don't got to tell nobody. And what's the thing? We don't do that. We don't do that over here. We don't go talk to
Right.
people about our business over here. We don't tell people our problems. Yes, you can. It's
Right.
okay. It's okay to get help because, like you said earlier, it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
And the sooner we understand that every day is not going to be the best day, that day right there is the day that you can say, you know what, I'm gonna take that first step to go and talk to somebody or see what I need to do to get myself in a better space. Because you can't necessarily continue to move forward if you don't do that first.
You know,
So when you
I'm so
realize
glad you
that it's
said
something,
that.
mhm.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so when you realize something is wrong, something is not normal with me, and you really have to be totally transparent and honest with yourself because that's one of the hardest things for us to do. Be totally honest with ourselves. When you
Right.
can do that and you say something's wrong, something's off, that's when you should start the process. When you realize something is not right, that's when you should start that process.
Yeah. So true. And I'm so glad the fact that you said that about before you can move forward, you have to deal with that. I was
Mhm.
I'm in the process of tearing down our carport as well as
Mhm.
in fact we have a storage behind it, and I'm going to get a new building put up. And it was amazing to me while I was in the process of doing that, and I'm still not finished, but I've actually gotten a lot of work done to it. But it was like God actually told me. He said, before you put the new building up, this old one
Hmm.
has to come down.
You better know it.
And
Yeah.
I actually got a quote to get it torn down, and the guy said, "Oh, this will be about $4,000." I'm like, $4,000? The new building going to cost 7. I said, "Listen, okay." I
Right.
said, "Thank you. I appreciate you, but I knew at that point I had to do it myself."
Mhm.
But in the process of me doing this, I learned some lessons. I learned how I had to do it a piece at a time. I couldn't try to do it all at one time. I've actually made strides in it. And so when you talked about, that fact about doing the work first before you can move forward, I immediately thought about that because again, I can't put the new building up with the old one there.
Yeah.
And even without thinking, it has to be the same thing. We have to tear down that old way of thinking before we can erect something new.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And nowadays, everybody wants it quick. It's like this microwave society. I want it now. I want to be healed tomorrow. I want
Right,
everything to be better today. But it doesn't
right.
work like that. It's a process, and it's okay to go through those levels that you need to go through to get to the to see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's
That's it.
absolutely okay.
That is so true. So now here's a question that I've had a lot of people go on. And that's question number 3. How does trauma show up in life and
Okay.
relationships? Hey, did you hear me?
We know how it shows up. We see it every day. Every time we click on this social media, we see it in these videos, in these relationship videos. When we talk
Right,
about
right.
relationship, it shows up. it shows up like low self-esteem. It shows up like disassociation. It shows up like attachment. It shows up like codependency. It shows up like somebody that's running away, that's always running away from stuff when it's not quite on track. It shows up like you being easily triggered. The smallest thing has you like, that ain't it. It's not gonna work for me. And it could be something so simple, but you haven't done the work. It's gonna show up. You accusing people of doing stuff they have not even done. They haven't even give you an inclination that they're going to do that. So it shows up in so many ways in life. It shows up like you won't even go to plan B, or you won't go to second base because you're scared to get to first. You can't complete a task because you're afraid. And believe it or not, some people are afraid of being successful. They're afraid of accomplishing things. They're afraid of healing because sometimes that healing is what's getting you all this attention. So
Yes.
if
Yes.
you don't correct it, it can show up in family meetings. It's gonna show up at the dinner table. It's gonna show up in those difficult conversations. So you really have to kind of sit down and figure out, why is this? Why am I always accusing this person? Why won't I give someone a chance to love me? Why do I feel like someone is always out to get me? I'll say for me, I've experienced when I was younger, right? Um, I played softball for years, right? I almost drowned at a camp we went to. I will not. It took me years to wash my hair in the shower because my
Wow.
mindset is anything can cause me to drown. And I know it's far fetched, but it's a mindset thing. And like you said, you have to change your mindset in order to change everything else. It starts there. So in that moment, I was traumatized. I'm not the person you gonna say, let's go to the pool. Me? Oh no, no, no.
Not
I'll
today.
go now. It took a lot of work. You see what I'm saying? So I'll go
Uh,
now,
right.
and say, I'll just put my feet in. But I
Right.
have
Right.
yet to take those steps to say I'm gonna learn how to swim. Isn't that crazy?
No. Wow.
So
Wow.
it's
Yeah.
it's a mindset thing, like you said. It shows up in so many different ways. Like we can talk about this all day long. Unfortunately, you might see a divorce, right?
Hmm.
A thing for me, I want to say it was traumatic. Divorce is traumatic to children. For
Right.
me, the cause behind the divorce, my parents. It's something that I live by today because I sat back and I was very observant. I will
Hmm.
never do this. And I when I see people do these things, I'm like, no, you shouldn't do that. So for me, it's like certain things they kind of shift our thought process and it
Right.
continues on. It just continues on. So yeah, it shows up in so many different ways. And if you don't shift it, it's gonna shift you.
If you don't shift it, it's going to
It's
shift
gonna
you.
shift you. It's gonna shift
Okay.
you.
If all right. All right. Well, y'all heard it here. So my next
It will.
question is what do you believe is the biggest obstacle to inner child healing?
Mm, the biggest obstacle, I'm going to say, lack of transparency is a big one. Because a lot of times we don't think nothing is wrong with us. We like to think
Right.
that we are perfect in a sense. We have it all together. When in reality, it's not. And it's like you said, it's totally okay not to have it all together. It doesn't have to
Right.
be perfect. It doesn't have to be everything in order. You not being able to be honest with yourself or being transparent will cause you to remain in a space that you should have been left a long time ago, a space that you should have healed from years ago. It will
Wow.
hold you hostage because your mindset is nothing is wrong. But when you're by yourself and you're looking in that mirror, you see all the imperfections. You see everything from your childhood. So you can't run from yourself.
Right.
You can't run from those memories. You can't run from those thoughts. You can hide from everybody else.
Right.
Now the
Right.
reality is the longer you continue, trying to hide it and telling yourself, I'm gonna be okay. I'm good. Everything's perfect. Okay. At some
So,
point, that load is gonna get real heavy. It's gonna get real heavy, and you're not gonna have a choice but to say, you know what, it's heavy. It's heavy. I have to do something. So the hardest thing I think is that transparency, the honesty, because you don't want to acknowledge that something is wrong because we went so long, like, we don't do that. It's the stigma in our community is we don't
yeah, we
get
don't talk about
counseling. We don't talk about it. You
it.
gotta talk about it. You
Yeah,
gotta talk
yeah,
about it. So
that's true.
that's
That's
what
true.
I think it is. That lack of transparency. What do you
Okay.
think?
Well, I think it can be several things. It can be
Mm-hmm.
pride,
Absolutely.
where
Yes.
and that's a big one, and
Mm-hmm.
really it kind of goes hand in hand, in fact, with what you just said about transparency, because pride will tell ourselves, "I'm okay, I'm good, I'm
Mm-hmm.
fine. It's not me, it's them. I'm not the problem. They are." Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but for us to have the humility of considering the possibility that it could be us.
Yes.
I
Oh, you
think,
you better not say that out loud now. You better not say that
oh
out
no,
loud.
I done got in trouble for saying, have you considered the possibility that you could be wrong?
That is
I got it.
you. That is you. We have some toxic ways. We have
Yep,
some.
yep,
We do. And fear.
yep, yeah, 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 yeah.
So
And
yeah.
fear is another one. Fear of
Mm-hmm.
being found out, fear of being
Mm-hmm.
ostracized. And see, my biggest thing is that if we accept our humanity, if we accept the fact that we're not perfect,
We are
then we
not. We are
can
not at
start the
all.
process. We can start the process of working on those parts of us that really need that level of attention. But
Right?
if we are lying
Right.
to ourselves and saying that we don't need any help, or there's nothing wrong with us, or I'm okay, I'm fine, we never get
Mm-hmm.
the help we need, and we position ourselves to stay stuck and stagnant. And really,
Yes.
we don't have the lessons that we need to help somebody else who's going
No, we
through a
don't.
similar situation,
Yep.
because we're still in
Yep.
that same ditch.
Yep. Still
So
in there.
yeah,
And you
yeah.
know what?
So
We can take it a step further. What
uh-huh.
if everyone else views you as perfect and you
Ooh.
don't want to change the narrative to
Mm,
disappoint?
mm. That's
So now it's
that's
like, I can't. I can't. I can't. People are in
yep.
these situations and it's like, man, what do I do?
And see, that's one of the reasons
We
why
human.
I said accept our own humanity, because once we accept it, it's no problem, in fact, for us to tell somebody who may think we're perfect, we're a superhero. No,
Hmm.
no, I got issues. I got stuff I need to work through. I got stuff I'm dealing with. Take me
Absolutely.
off that. I know I'm getting down off the pedestal. I'm getting down off the high horse. Don't put me up there,
Mhm.
because I'm just as
Don't
human
put me
as the
up.
next person, and I need to work on me.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so that brings us to our next question, and that question is: do you believe that people can do inner child therapy alone? I like the way you pause
um,
and gather your thoughts.
I believe that it takes a very, very, very special person to do that on their own. That's not to
Okay.
say I'm gonna say you should not do it on your own
Okay.
because first of all, you don't necessarily well. This is a good one. Let me see. Um, I believe that we don't have all the answers.
True. True.
So we can sit here and say, I know exactly what I need,
Hmm.
but is it necessarily what you need or is it more so what you want? And how are you
Okay.
going to do what's necessary to get the results that you need? Because
Right.
sometimes we can kind of be getting our own way from doing exactly
That's
what we need to do. So I
that's
think
true.
that no, we need the support system. We need
Okay.
our village. You know, they say it takes a village to raise a child. No, we need a village as adults. We need the
Exactly.
support team. We need to have those that hold us accountable for our behaviors and actions. We need those people that say, no, you are the problem. We need the people to call us out. So I think it's best that we don't do it on our own, because if
Right.
we try to do it on our own, we won't get the results that we absolutely need for us to be our absolute best self. So you can
That
try it, but I just think that at some point you might slack off. You might
yeah.
not push yourself to get to your fullest potential. And that's gonna cause a couple of issues because you're not going to get the results that you absolutely need. So I
True.
don't I don't think you doing it by yourself is the yeah, I don't think that's it.
True. And to be honest, well, in fact, my response, in fact, to that question is, I think we can start it on our own, but there
Mhm.
comes a point to where we need to get help, because
Absolutely.
if you're not ready to do the work, then I don't care who you go see, who somebody
Right.
drag you into, nothing's going to happen. But if you've identified, okay, I got issues, I need, and you try to fix them on your own. I'm the type of person, I will try everything I can on my own, and once I come to the end of myself, okay, I become the best student
Mhm.
because I've
Absolutely.
tried everything that I know. But see, at that point, I'm learning. I'm not trying to
Mhm.
debate with you. I'm not trying to correct you. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to, trying to tweak, because I've
No.
done everything I know to do, and I hadn't gotten the results that I wanted. So when I go to somebody who
Yes.
has more knowledge, skills, and ability than I do, I can then position myself to get the help that I need to learn from them what I didn't know, and
Mhm.
then implement that.
Mhm.
But it has to we
Absolutely.
have to have a willing heart to be willing
Absolutely.
to change. And even in my book, I talk about how the life that you can have on the other side of your healing, the freedom that
Mhm.
comes with that level of personal acceptance, that level of,
Absolutely.
again, embracing your own humanity and healing from your childhood hurts and traumas. You'll show up to be a better person, and you'll be less critical of other people, and you'll become a shining example of what it means to be a healed individual. I'm gonna share this, and we're gonna keep
Absolutely.
going, but
Right.
I was actually speaking at an event in Phoenix, Arizona, a couple of years ago, and I actually posed this question. I said, "Are you healed enough to help celebrate somebody else and help them glow?"
Mhm.
Now, notice I said healed enough, because a lot of people be
Mhm.
like, "Well, I still got issues. I still got problems." No, can you put those on? Can you put that on pause for 1 second and celebrate
Right.
somebody else? Are you healed
Right.
enough to do that?
To let
And
somebody
that
else shine.
Exactly, exactly. But see, so many people are so caught up in the fact that the spotlight's not on me, or they're not clapping for me, they're not
Mhm.
calling my name.
Guess
That
what?
shows us
It's not about you. It's not always about you. It's not always about you, and it won't always be about you, and you have to be okay with that.
that part, that
You have
part
to be okay
right
with that.
there. And
Mhm.
see,
You gotta
that's
be
when
okay with that.
that healing comes in to where you can say, okay, okay, this is their moment. This is their time to shine. Okay, this is their time to be applauded or praised. And see, if you can't do that, that's a good indication that you have some healing to do,
You got some more work to do.
some work
You
to
got some more work. Yeah,
that
you got some more work
is
to do.
that's for sure, for
Yeah,
sure. So
absolutely.
how can someone help other people who are struggling to identify the need for inner child work?
You know what? We've seen so much just by way of everything. Experience, other
Right,
people's experiences. We see it on
right,
TV, we see it in social media now.
right.
Um, but we can start a conversation off of a hypothetical. We can start a
Okay.
conversation off of a random conversation. Well, I know you're going through something right now, but I know you will feel so much better once you're able to just kind of get all of that out. and just kind of get on the other side of it. You know, just being a supportive friend, being a supportive person, just listening. Just listen.
Okay.
Sometimes people just need somebody to listen because they don't have anyone. You
Right.
can be someone that is like, you know what? You can start off like, hey, you want to go to the gym? The gym is therapy. I tell people all the time, let's go to the gym.
Okay.
You can talk. You can talk on the treadmill. People will
Right.
spill their
Right.
whole life to you while you walking. You got to get
Okay.
creative. If you see someone and you know that they're struggling, if you know
Mm-hmm.
that they're spiraling even, you
Mm.
have to kind of get creative in your approach into how you can help them get some help. You can say, "Hey, you want to it's so many movies out here. You want to I just saw a really good movie, man. You should check it out. It's so good. I think you'll like it." Or, "Man, I
Mm.
just saw a video online. Imma send it to you. Check this video out." It could be something inspirational. Something
Right.
inspirational can shift somebody's mood in a way that it will walk them right into getting help. We
Right.
don't necessarily know all the time where someone is at mentally because
Correct.
everyone doesn't share. But
Right.
I like to believe that everyone has something going on. It may not be anything major, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody's something is different. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you being you, just being a completely supportive and open person, you can absolutely kind of just, hey, this is something that's helpful. You want to try this? You can invite somebody somewhere and it can be so good. You can invite church. That used to be the thing that people said, let's go to church. What
Right.
happens? They'll come to church with you and they'll be right up at the altar before you can even open your eyes after prayer because they feel it. Like the
Right.
pastor was talking to me. You knew
Right.
I needed
Right.
this. I did. I did.
Right.
So
Right.
you really gotta get creative in it. It's so many different ways. And I like to tell people, I like to hold people accountable. I'm not the person that's gonna say, yeah, because no, if I see that you're in a situation that's harmful to yourself, and harmful it can mean different things, right? I'm gonna do
Right.
what I can to see if I can kind of help you stir you in that direction by
Okay.
whatever the whatever way I gotta do it, whether it's just conversation or showing you different stuff or videos or whatever I gotta do, because nowadays everything is just out there. You can just find it everywhere. So
Yep.
just
That's true.
being creative, honestly.
That's true. Okay. All right. Well, and you know, in your response, you actually answered the next question about how to start a conversation about inner child trauma. So you be creative,
Oh,
and help them, to hopefully look at it from a different perspective, and that's
mhm.
always so helpful.
It's
So
good. A different
listen, in fact,
perspective is always good.
yeah, yeah. So listen, in fact, before we wrap things up, I do have to share another sponsorship spot from none other than
Okay.
BetterHelp. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful, unbiased advice. First, you go to their site. You can use my link, betterhelp.com/SaconiPrinceHeal. You answer a few questions, and BetterHelp will match you to a professional who's had years of experience helping people with struggles just like yours. You can do it all from your phone or your computer, via a phone call, a video chat, or messaging. However you feel most comfortable. It is the easiest possible way to start talking to a therapist. You'll be matched to a therapist usually within 48 hours, so you can get started fast. Let BetterHelp connect you to a therapist who can support you all from the comfort of your own home. Visit betterhelp.com/SaconiPrinceHeal or choose Saconi Prince Heal during your sign up and enjoy a special discount on your first month. And again, we want to thank our sponsor, BetterHelp, for sponsoring this amazing episode. And I am so excited. I had a chance to share with you my guest, my friend, Shonta Thomas. So, Shonta, if somebody wanted to connect with you, if somebody wanted to follow you, see what you got going on, how would they do that?
Ooh, absolutely. You can check me out on Facebook, Shonta L. Thomas. You can also check me out on Mind Matters Consulting on Facebook, also underscore your mind matters underscore on Instagram. My website is Shonta L. Thomas, ShontaALThomas.com. I have a lot of things going on. Some new releases about to come out, some new books, workbook journals. I have some new programs coming out. So definitely check me out. I have a retreat coming up. So I definitely am here to help. I'm so big on just women being their absolute best self, healing, and just getting over that hurdle. People are going through some stuff. This is a tough time right now. The climate right now is very stressful. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
people are just dealing with a lot. I'm very big on trauma healing. I'm very big on self-care. Self-love is major. So definitely reach out if you need some help with just kind of, figuring out what you need to do to get you a nice self-care plan in place. If you need to work on some healing, trauma healing from your childhood, absolutely. We can work on it. So definitely reach out and I'm here to help.
Okay. All right. All right. So with that being said, do you have any final words, any last words for our listeners?
Thank you so much. I'm going to say thank you, first of all, for just having me here. This has just been awesome. Truly, truly enjoyed just having this conversation. It's much needed.
Yes. Yes.
We hear so much, what happens in this house stays in this house. No, but if something happens in this house that's weighing a little bit too much on you, stressing you out, no, go get some help, work through it. We're not going to hold on to any of those past traumas because guess what? You can't be your best self if you're still holding on from luggage from 20 years ago, 30 years ago. We got to unload that luggage so we can have some release. We want to be light
Right.
up here. We don't want to be heavy all the time. We want to be able to go on through life, have peace, a peace of
Right.
mind, and just be overall in a really good space. So absolutely. Thank you so much for starting the conversation.
All right. All right. Well, we are so appreciative of your time and being on our show today. And like I said before, I also want to end because I know a lot of people are starting to know me from, doing this podcast and my, in fact, latest book. But I did personal development. I do personal development and leadership development. And so I want to end the show with my scissor reel so you can truly understand what it is I have to offer. Listen, we'll talk to you later. Bye. Well, my name is Sakoni Prince of SakoniPrince.com, where we make motivation personal by introducing you to yourself. I'm a motivational speaker, a trainer, and a coach. I'm also an author. I help people in the area of personal development and leadership development because I believe that you can't lead others until you learn how to lead yourself. But once you learn how to lead yourself, the next logical step is that you lead other people.
Sakoni Prince is the best keynote I've ever seen.
He really encouraged me so much.
He has this ability of seeing in people what they don't see in themselves.
He was so confident. When he was coming to the stage, you could see like, wow, this is a lion.
Any actor that's going for a role, they do a case study. If I'm going to be a fry cook, I go to a restaurant and watch people that are fry cooks. If I'm going to be a mob boss, I go and, well, maybe not go to with a mob, but you take some notes as to what they do. Our children are watching. What can they reference when they step into our shoes? I do what I do because I believe that people have truly yet to understand their purpose. Once you know who you are, nothing can stop you. But until you know who you are, anything can. So my goal is to really help people to understand their purpose and their calling. And oftentimes they have the answers themselves, but they're not asking the right questions. So I help people to get to that place to where they look at themselves, they step back and they see how they've been a help to those around them and what really drives them. And from that, they really understand the value of it. They learn to value their value and see what value their value brings. Because a lot of people, they have yet to do that. Until you know who you are, anything can stop you. But once you know who you are, nothing can stop you. I want you to understand that you are blessed. That you are blessed to be a blessing. That there is somebody looking up to you. They're looking at you. ever forget them. Because if you ever do, you're going to leave them without a mind.
I've learned so much, and I've experienced a lot of interactions with people.
The practical approach, like you can't just sit down there, you have to walk up to an opportunity. Sometimes you have to grab the opportunity. Sometimes you have to fight for the opportunity. There's so much life lessons.
I think from today onwards, I'll stretch out and reach to higher levels.